National headlines tonight, the Trump administration's efforts to downsize the federal government continues to make waves in Washington. National correspondent Kayla Gaskins brings us the latest developments following cuts to USAID in this Waste Watch report.
The new head of USAID, Peter Morocco, reportedly telling lawmakers he's so bewildered by some of the agency's spending, he's considering sending criminal referrals to the Justice Department for potential misuse of taxpayer dollars. President Trump tapped Morocco to dismantle the agency as part of his mission to rid the government of waste, fraud, and abuse.
It doesn't mean that we're not going to be doing foreign aid. It's a matter of how are we going to be doing the aid.
USAID was one of the Department of Government Efficiency's earliest targets.
It's a gigantic scam, like one of the biggest, maybe the biggest scam.
So they just get grants and the government just assumes that they're doing good work.
I think a lot of people in the government know that they're not doing good work.
94% of USAID staff have been fired. The representatives of the administration in charge of cost cutting have made it clear that the goal is to destroy USAID.
The funds allocated for the agency are meant for promoting stability, economic growth, and humanitarian assistance in unstable regions. But the White House argues DOJ uncovered money being spent to advance left-wing political ideas across the globe.
$45 million for diversity, equity, and inclusion scholarships in Burma.
President Trump outlining some of the spending he takes issue with during his speech to Congress Tuesday.
$8 million to promote LGBTQI+ in the African nation of Lesotho.
The court's pushing back against DOJ. On Wednesday, the Supreme Court denied the White House's request to cancel $2 billion worth of already spent foreign aid. And amid growing concerns over DOJ cuts, even from some Republicans, Elon Musk on Capitol Hill Wednesday meeting with House GOP members.
It's very encouraging of the things that he's disclosing and where he's headed with this, because they haven't even really cracked the nut.
At USAID, an internal review is underway, but still in the early stages. Peter Morocco's team reportedly believes they're uncovering a pattern of illegal activity within the agency. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
Howdy, y'all. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. What we have here is a channel to communicate. I want you folks to be thinking by the time you leave my videos. Why? Because I'm tired of people talking via what other people tell them to think. So, watch my video and enjoy the chance to think for yourself.
It's taken long enough, but it does seem like we're finally getting some folks that are going, hey, let's actually get some criminal referrals to the Department of Justice over USAID. Now, you would have thought that this would have already been happening, but Peter Morocco, who is serving as acting deputy administrator for USAID, told lawmakers Wednesday that he and his staff are looking at making these. This has taken long enough, but at least it's happening. That's what I've got to say about this situation. Why? Because these people have been committing crimes. They've been embezzling the money that U.S. taxpayers thought, hey, let's make sure that we're getting taxes paid. No, not every one of us was wanting it to be wasted in this manner. There are some, but most of us were not. So let's take a look at a couple. While you saw that at the beginning, I've got a video that's got Marjorie Taylor Greene and some of the things that she had to say recently in a congressional hearing. Also, if you like these types of videos, hit like, hit subscribe, help me out. I'm trying to get to the point that I can start getting some live interviews with some of the folks that are making the news. So, here we go.
Closing remarks and threats against the President of the United States will not be tolerated by anyone. And the math does add up. The United States is $36 trillion in debt. $36 trillion. There's plenty of spreadsheets that show that. As a matter of fact, there's a debt clock. You can watch it continue to tick upwards every single day. In fiscal year 2024, the government spent over 1.8 trillion more than it took in. And in fiscal year 2025, the interest on our debt is expected to exceed $1 trillion. That's everybody. I don't care how you vote. The American people do not want to continue to fund these propaganda campaigns, regime changes, terrorist, LGBTQ initiatives, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and other Democrat globalist initiatives. And even if the people did want to continue supporting such causes, guess what? They can support them with their own money through private donations. Because the reality is, everyone, we are flat out broke. If the U.S. government operated like any other private business, which it should, by the way, it would be completely bankrupt and it would be out of business. Last year, we spent almost $2 trillion more than we took in. The United States government is not a charity, and it is not to be used and abused by the bureaucracy to implement the far left's agenda and impose it on the entire world. Again, 96% of all political contributions from USAID employees go to Democrat Party candidates or PACs. Perhaps that's why we're hearing all the complaining. The revolving door between USAID employees and NGOs that receive USAID funding is undeniable. Maybe we should consider investigating whether USAID funding has made it back to Democrat campaigns. Has it affected elections? The real questions the American people deserve to know answers to are these. Why are we funding 9 out of 10 news outlets in Ukraine? Why was former USAID Administrator Samantha Power visiting Hungary for the purpose of strengthening democratic institutions when Hungary is a country that is strongly democratic and members of the EU and NATO? Why was USAID co-funding joint programs with George Soros' Open Society to promote radical social agendas throughout the developing world? Why is USAID involved in the canceling of elections in Romania? Why is USAID involved in funding court changes in Albania that resulted in the prosecution of the Albanian opposition leader? Why is USAID funding censorship laws in Brazil to silence Bolsonaro? Why is USAID involved in funding the Syrian civil war? What we have learned here today is that USAID has been used as a tool by Democrats to brainwash the world with globalist propaganda to force regime changes around the world. But if USAID funded terrorism that resulted in the death of Americans, then this committee will be making criminal referrals. Lastly, if this is the funding that has come from the USAID, the United States Agency for International Development needs to be abolished. With that and without objection, all members have 5 legislative days within which to submit materials and additional written questions for the witnesses, which will be forwarded to the witnesses. If there is no further business without objection, the subcommittee stands adjourned.
We need to get more people put in jail over what's been going on in this government. Now, there's going to be a fight. You're seeing the fight going on with these corrupt judges. You see the fight that's going on with these corrupt politicians who were making a profit off the U.S. government. I mean, it's Republican and Democrat, liberal, conservative, every side. I don't really consider them conservative, but they're considered conservative. Some of these folks that were taking the side where they were embezzling money from the government. That's all it is. It's embezzlement. It's a crime. I think it's time that every politician that had a way to make money off the U.S. government, the way that, such as there was one member of Congress that his wife was making millions But of course, he didn't directly benefit from it. No, it was his wife who was doing so much good that she was getting millions of dollars that was going into her bank account. This is what's been going on. This is why change hasn't been happening. And if we can start getting federal crimes being prosecuted, then we can start making some real changes. This has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye. So, folks, that's the story that I wanted to bring you on this video. And I just wanted to say thank you again for coming by. Well, hit like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff if you don't mind. Help me out. So, y'all have a good day now. Bye.